Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I've got another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on, to explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and are done wrong. So this comes from Milwaukee Police. Their footage that they released on their YouTube channel doesn't have a spokesperson for it. They don't explain anything that's really going on. They just released the raw body cam footage. So I have to use this Milwaukee Journal Sentinel news article to understand what's going on within the video. So you can pause this as you need to and read what's right here in front of you. But I'll summarize it really quick. Police were looking for a couple of robbery suspects and then found them. They're on the train tracks. Officer got out with one of them, and the other guy had a gun. Officer shot the guy with the gun. The guy went down, and then they went up and took them, or took one of them into custody. And I don't think it's very clear what happened to the other one. I think he might have been pronounced dead there. But anyway, that's the short and sweet of it. So I'll scroll the screen down. That, like I said, you can pause it and read it for yourself. All right, so that is all of the news article. Let's go ahead and jump into the videos. Where the fuck is it? There it is.
North of Arizona.
5, 4. All right, so
Just north of Arizona.
this first video, not much to it. We basically just see the car rolling down the street. He stops on the train tracks and goes after the guys. And we don't really see much past that point.
Let me see your hand! Hand! Both your hand! Hand!
So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much this whole first video. Don't really see a whole lot past this point. So he parks that car straight on the tracks and then takes off running. I don't think that's probably the brightest idea, is leaving your car on the tracks like that. What if this foot chase progresses to him running, several blocks away? And then here comes the choo-choo train. That car is going to be smashed. And of course, there's always that potential for causing a derailment of a train. But aside from that, like, that train's going to be stopped for a while, right? So I just don't think that's a very smart move to park the vehicle on the train tracks, because it's hard for trains to stop on a dime, right? Like, they're not like normal vehicles, okay? There was one, I forget where it's from, but an officer parked their car on tracks and put a person in the back of the car, a woman, and they were searching the vehicle, and then a train comes and hits the squad car with the person in it. They survived, They sued. I can't remember the outcome of that case, but I know it wasn't positive for the police. I think even the officer who put the person back in the car, I think something had happened to them. Whether I can't remember if they were charged or they were held liable for them. I can't remember exactly, like I said, what the outcome was, but I know it wasn't positive. It was negative for them. So parking cars on train tracks is never a good idea. Let's play the rest of this, and then we'll get into the second video. Nothing wrong with your audio. The camera's in buffer mode right now. So first things first, this officer gets out with a rifle, which is the appropriate thing to be doing. One of my biggest chief complaints when it comes to reviewing officer-involved videos is officers neglecting to get a rifle out when they need to be getting a rifle out. So you're dealing with robbery suspects and weapons involved. So that makes it very high risk. Anything that's high risk, a long gun needs to come out for. You have the potential of going into a gunfight. And if you're going to be going to a gunfight, you want to bring a rifle and you want to bring your friends who have rifles. Rifles put a stop to deadly threats very efficiently and effectively. They will very quickly knock your dick in the dirt. The terminal ballistics between rifle and pistol are night and day. There are multiple people in this world who've been shot with a pistol, shot multiple times with a pistol, and they're still walking around, living life. No problems. Some may be paralyzed, some may have some kind of problem, but a lot of them walking around just fine. And they've been shot multiple times with a pistol. The same cannot be said with rifle. Now, there are some people who've been hit with a rifle and they're still walking around, but when you compare that to people who've been shot with a pistol, there's just not a whole lot of them walking around. Rifles put people down. The terminal ballistics are night and day. The high velocity rifle round is a good fight stopper. It will stop the fight. And of course, with a rifle, you have better accuracy. You have a longer barrel, more points of contact on that weapon to stabilize it and make it as accurate as you can. A pistol, you only get one good grip on that pistol, and that's with your dominant hand. And then your non-dominant hand comes in and kind of covers up a little bit more of the grip and adds a little bit more support to it. But other than that, that's it. That's all you got with that pistol. You're not able to shoulder it and get it as more stable as you can. It has a very short barrel on it. The littlest amount of movement in that system, just by pulling the trigger, your rounds can be way off target. So rifle versus pistol. Rifle is always the one that you want to go to in a gunfight. But like I said, this is one of my biggest chief complaints is officers neglecting to get them out. And I think a lot of it has to do with unrealistic training. I don't think that rifle training is very realistic for law enforcement. And I don't think that a proper fighting mindset is being instilled in these officers. They're more or less going through a qualification kind of course with the weapons, learning how to manipulate them, work them. Yeah, they do learn some tactical things, but overall, I just don't think it's a good fighting mindset that they're learning with these firearms training courses. And with the rifles, they're all starting on the line with their rifle in their hand, which is not realistic. You're not going to be starting all the time with a rifle in your hand like it's a game of Call of Duty where you're sitting there with a rifle in your hand waiting for the countdown, right? The rifle is kept somewhere. It's kept in the vehicle. And so you have to go get that rifle out. And rifle training classes don't really incorporate that aspect into it. It's always starting on the line with your rifle. For pistol, that's totally realistic, right? You start on the line with the pistol in your holster. That's 110% realistic because you're going to be walking around with a pistol in your holster. And so when the fight command comes out, you draw a pistol and put rounds in target. You're not walking around all the time with a rifle. So it makes no sense to me to start all of your drills for a rifle-centric class with the rifle in your hands. They need to start with them being where they're going to be stowed at, whether they're going to be in the cargo hold or trunk of the vehicle, or they're going to be in a rifle rack in the cab of the vehicle. You need to have a portion of the class where that's where you start from. That's where you start. You get that rifle from its place, you danger it up, and then you get into the fight. And of course, you have some more drills that help illustrate and help to develop and foster that fighting mindset with the rifle. But anyway, enough ranting. Let's go on.
If you come down 37th from Villard, they're starting to run our way.
Get the car, get the car, get the car. Get the car. Yeah. Get on the fucking ground! Get on the fucking ground! Get on the fucking ground! Milwaukee police! Get your hands! Drop to the ground! Drop on the fucking ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Drop the gun!
Fire, shots fired. Step to location.
Officer, shots fired! Subject down with a gun. One more at gunpoint. Send more squads! Watch out! Get your hand in your pocket! Get your hand! Stop! Get down on the ground! Wait! Wait! Wait!
All right, so let's back this up a little bit more. So he has the magazine in the gun before he makes it over this part over here. So magazine's in the gun. I'll back that up. So he's running along. You still see in the shadow. Looks like the magazine's, yeah, you see it right there. Magazine's still in the gun. And then, boom. Hits the ground. I think that's the magazine right there. Boom. Yeah, that looks like the magazine right there. So, I guess where he was indexing his finger, he probably pressed the magazine release when he hit the ground, whereas before he hit the ground, and then caused the magazine to fall out of the rifle itself. And well, I don't see it on the ground anymore. So I'm not sure where it went. But you see him reaching to his side of his body in the shadow right here. So it looks like to me he has a spare magazine on his belt. And you see it coming out. And then, boom, back into the rifle. So this is, I guess, a win for the people who advocate keeping a rifle mag on your duty belt. I see it both ways. I don't have a strong opinion either way on keeping a rifle mag on your duty belt. Of course, right here we can see the benefit of it, right? Like something happens to the magazine that's in the gun, and then boom, or you run empty on your first mag, right? And then boom, you got your reload right there on your duty belt. So that's an obvious win for it. Of course, the con to it is it takes up a lot of space on that belt, right? And especially for your more petite-sized officers, real estate on the belt can be pretty limited depending on their waist size. Now, when you start getting into outer carrier vest, you can move some stuff from the belt to the vest itself, and that frees up some room on the belt to be able to add more stuff. But one big con is it can take away real estate on the belt, and then the other is it's a lot of weight, or it's a lot of stuff to be on your side for something that is statistically not likely to happen. We still have to think that officer-involved shootings are still a low occurrence kind of thing. Now, you would think, well, you have a whole channel dedicated to officer-involved shootings. Yes, so at the national level, when you're able to look all across the country, there is, I guess, a decent amount of these going on. But when you zoom it down to the local level, they're just not occurring a whole lot. Now, some places they do seem to occur a little bit more. So Milwaukee, they've had several. Of course, New York, Los Angeles, those places are going to have them a lot. Of course, because they have higher populations. But when you go outside those larger areas, and even in those larger areas, are they getting in the gunfights every single day? No, they're not. They're not going in the gunfights every single day. Even your Los Angeles Police Department, they don't have an officer-involved shooting video from every single day, right? Now, you watch any Hollywood movie, you would think that it's a shooting every freaking hour, but that's not the case. Even New York, they don't have shootings every single day, or officer-involved shootings every single day. When you go outside those larger areas, it becomes even more rare. You can have cities and counties that it's been years since they've ever had an officer-involved shooting. There are some out there who are lucky today to have never had experienced an officer-involved shooting. So when it comes to places like that, I don't really see the point in doing that. And even in your places like Los Angeles and New York and Phoenix and what's another one that has had a bunch of them? Mesa, Jacksonville, places like that. As I said earlier, yeah, they kind of have a decent amount of these things going on. It's not an every single day kind of thing. So I think you can go both ways with it as far as a rifle mag on the belt. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, fine. Like I said, I don't have a strong opinion either way on it. My opinion is for rifles to do a system where you have two mags on that rifle. I like the mag coupler, having both mags together using a mag pull mag coupler. That way you have two magazines on board for the rifle. Another option is to get a buttstock magazine pouch to have an extra magazine in that buttstock pouch. And the idea behind this is you may only have enough time to grab the rifle. And if that's the case, then you want an extra magazine on board for that rifle. You may not have that extra time to grab a plate carrier that has additional magazines in it. You may not have that time to grab a bag that has additional magazines in it. And when you look at the data, when you look at all these incidents, you don't see officers doing a mag dump from a rifle, reloading a second mag, depleting that second mag, or nearly depleting it, and wanting to put in a third mag. That's just a lot of rounds, right? So even on plate carriers and stuff like that, I think it's totally fine to have just 1 or 2 extra mags on there. I don't really see the point in having 3 rifle mags or 6 rifle mags on a plate carrier. I don't really see the point in doing that with a go bag. It's just not realistic. Right now we are not seeing incidents where, like I said, rifles or officers are burning through an entire rifle mag and then damn near burning through a second one. It's just not happening. Now, that's not to say that it's not ever going to happen, right? Because we have terrorists out there who want to come here to the homeland and wreak havoc. And so something like that, then yes, it would be nice to have more than just a couple mags. But your everyday run-of-the-mill law enforcement encounters with officer-involved shootings, they're just not going through that many mags. So, like I said, no strong opinion either way on keeping a rifle mag on the belt. But for those who are huge proponents of it, here's your justification for it. Here is a good illustration to say, hey, I'm right, you're wrong. Moving on.
Get on the fucking ground! Get on the fucking ground! Get up!
Now, it's hard to see because the camera can't zoom in, but you can obviously make out bad guy here, and then you kind of start to see the yellowish of that one dude's shirt right there. And what the hell is that guy thinking, wearing a bright yellow shirt, committing a robbery? Like, all right, so it's getting a little bit closer, a little bit closer. He's moving. Now they're coming in a little bit more view. So you see bad guy here, bad guy there, and then almost behind the bad guy is that other officer who took off running after them when he parked his cruiser on the railroad track. So this officer is still moving along, He stops, he gets sight on target, and don't know if we'll see the plume or not. Boom. So he pops him right there because you see him start to go down. And you see that other officer moving off the X and going to the side. That is some hellacious close shooting. Super, super close. And so this is the benefit to a rifle. What if he tried to make this shot with a pistol? Man, he could have missed and hit that other officer down there. Very, very likely that he could have missed and hit that other officer with a pistol, because pistols suck when it comes to accuracy at longer ranges. I mean, there's dudes who can make bullseye hits from this distance, but that's under cool, calm conditions, right? Like you ain't got a threat of someone holding the gun ready to shoot you. When you watch videos like this, you will see little dust marks in the background poofing up, and those are missed rounds. Like, those are bullets hitting the ground and and you see a little puff mark on the ground, a little cloud of dust, you will see that a lot. There was a study that a lot of people will talk about that came from the New York Police Department, and I forget the numbers off the top of my head, but it gave some numbers on, out of how many officer-involved shootings there were, they fired X amount of rounds, and then they would give a breakdown on how many of those rounds hit the suspect and how many missed, and it's a lot. It is a lot, and no other agencies out there that I'm aware of make or routinely make reports like that today. That's stuff that you have to go deep into the incident reporting to find that information out. So you'll see like a officer involved shooting investigation, the ballistic analysis stuff. You'll see, the breakdown of where the officer was at, how many rounds they fired, and then they, collected these rounds, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You just have to read the reports when it comes to those things to get an idea about how many rounds were fired, how many hit the suspect, and then how many didn't. They don't go out of their way to summarize that for the public, right? They don't say, "Oh, we fired 15 rounds, but we only hit them twice. The other rounds, we don't know. We recovered them, and then some of them we didn't. We don't know where they went." Like they're not summarizing it like that and putting it out there to the public. That's embarrassing, right? No agency wants to do that. So you have to dig deep for that information, and that usually comes with having to do open records requests, and that process can be a headache. It's not very easy to get that information, especially for a case that's still being under investigation, because they can deny those records. But then also, if it's just happened, they're not going to have those records anyway, right? At least not the final report of it. They'll have some of the raw data that they've collected, but it's not going to be in a nice final product. So even months after it, they're still not going to release it, because they usually take up to a year or so before they make anything public, or at least release anything from it. So attention spans can be short, and so people can easily forget a year after, or up to a year after an incident, and not even think about to put a request in for it. There's stuff I see on Facebook memories. I'll see something pop up from like a memory of commenting on something or whatever, or sharing something, and it'll pop up and it'll jar my memory, like, oh, I completely forgot all about that. Like, holy crap. So attention spans can be short, and these things can be easily forgotten, and so this data is just sitting there in a book, on a computer somewhere, and not a whole lot of people get to pilfer through it and see that kind of stuff. But yeah, anyway, if he tried to make this shot with a pistol, he could have missed and hit that officer. Now, rifle, like I said, rifle's a lot more accurate, but you can still miss with rifle, okay? It's not like having a rifle is just going to make you be able to hit every single target with no miss. You can still miss. But this is an argument and justification for why a rifle is so important to have for high-risk scenarios that are going to likely become a gunfight. You're able to put accurate, incapacitating rounds on target. Now, let's say that he used a pistol. Aside from the fact that he probably would have missed some rounds, if he did make hits on this guy with the pistol, would they have been immediately physically incapacitating? Maybe, maybe not. There's a good chance that if he had shot him with a pistol round, the guy went down, he could still be in the fight. He could still very well start putting rounds on officers. And as I hit play to go a little bit further, he mentions that he can see the gun in this guy's hand still. Obviously, he's physically incapacitated. He's not moving. He's not an immediate threat right now, but he still has that gun in his hand. What if it was a pistol round that hit this guy? Would the guy have even gone down? Would he have been able to start shooting back? And then if he started shooting back, what's that other officer on the other side going to do? Is he going to start shooting too? So then you have two officers shooting at the bad guy and officers on each side of the bad guy. We know that pistol rounds miss. The other officer has a pistol. So it may have turned into a huge shit show where everybody gets shot. It's like a segment from a fucking Oprah show. You get a bullet, you get a bullet, you get a bullet. Everybody gets bullets, right? So again, rifles are needed when it comes to things like this. And I think that had this officer not got that rifle out, that this would not have ended as quickly as it did. This rifle put a stop to the threat efficiently and effectively. All right, moving on.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Drop the gun!
Roger. Fire, shots fired. The location.
Officer, shots fired. Subject down with a gun. One more at gunpoint. Send more squads. Watch out! Get your hand in your pocket! Get your hand! Stop! Get down on the ground! Wait! 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 You have eyes on yellow? Send more squads from the... Get your hands out, Johnny! Straight out front of you! 7120. 7120, come from the north. Subject down on the tracks. One more at gunpoint. Subject down is a gun. Get a canine. God damn it! God fucking damn it! Why'd you do that? You got yellow? We're gonna meet. Wait! No! It's not safe!
Fucking do something! Dump his ass off!
Hey! No, he's got the gun in his hand! He's holding the gun! No, he's holding the gun! Wait! 7120, subject's holding the gun still. Can we get a rifle or a shield operator? We can't make contact for medical. He's still got the gun in his right hand. No, it's not safe to move in.
So, I agree with this officer at this point. It is not safe for them to make an approach on the guy who has that gun. It's still in his hand. He could be just temporarily unconscious at this point. And it looks like he appears to be unconscious, right? It looks like he's just not moving around. He's just laying there, gun in his hand. And that could be temporary. He could wake up at any moment and boom, be back in the fight. That's happened. One popular incident was the FBI Miami shootout back in the 1980s, and one of the bank robbers was hit in the head, and he temporarily went unconscious, and then boom, woke back up in the middle of the fight and got out and tried to steal one of the FBI agents' cars. So I agree with the rifleman here that it's not safe to approach that guy. Some would argue that, well, if you don't get up there, then you can't render aid to that person. Well, that's not my problem. That's their problem. They should not have been doing illegal shit They should not have been trying to endanger the lives of the public and also endanger the lives of police. They should not have pulled a gun on a police officer. He got what he got, right? If that means that he lays there and bleeds to death on those train tracks while you wait for a shield to get there so you can safely approach, then so be it. Let him bleed the fuck out. Fuck him. He brought this shit upon himself. Society is better off with him being dead. Safety, officer safety trumps just running up there, right? Like it would be senseless to quickly approach this guy and then boom, he wakes up, sees police, and just starts wildly firing and gets one lucky hit on an officer and puts some lead in an officer's snot box. That happens. Bad guys get a lucky roll of the dice. They get a lucky vote. Bad guys get a vote in a gunfight too. Sometimes they just get lucky. And he could start blindly firing and put one right in an officer's face. So it makes no sense to rush up on something when you don't need to. And these are the scenarios where I see shields as being actually useful. A lot of times I don't see shields as being very useful, but something like this I can see it would be a very, very useful thing. They're wanting to obviously take the guy in yellow into custody. What could they do at this point? They could give him verbal commands to start crawling his ass towards them. Tell him to crawl, or get up and start walking. Walk backwards to the sound of someone's voice. Whatever. Leave the guy with the gun there on the tracks. Leave lethal cover covering him, and then have an arrest team telling that dude to either crawl to them or walk to them, hands out, whatever, and then take that person into custody, and then make a safe approach to the dude that's laying in the tracks who still has a gun in his hand. And as I said, if he just so happens to bleed out while all that's going on, oh well, you brought this upon yourself. You knew the consequences.
You're gonna meet her towards us, and I'll cover on yellow, and he's got black. No, he's gonna come to us.
37 Atlanta.
Yes. Hold down on him, boss. He's got that gun in his hand. All right.
So the officer with the rifle, I think, was in the correct mindset, and he was trying to, give out directions on what needed to be done. But then you have these other officers who kind of want to start to do their own thing. So I don't know anything about these officers, if one of them is of rank or not. But at some point, it has to be established that someone is incident commander on this, right? So going back to NIMS, incident command system, someone on this scene is going to be the person in charge. How does that become easily recognizable? For many places, it's whoever has rank will normally fulfill that IC role. What if it's all three just regular patrol guys? None of them is a sergeant or anything. Some places will have some kind of I won't call it ranking, but kind of a level of seniority. Like you may have, like here locally, there is an advanced police officer and then master police officer, and those don't have any rank, like corporal or sergeant or captain or anything like that. But it could also be off of years of service, right? Like two could be just freshly rookies, been there for a year or two, and the other person could be there for 7 years, and that one who has more experience, who could also be an FTO or something like that. That person would be the obvious choice to want to be in that role of IC or incident commander, and then start calling things out, delegating tasks, making a game plan, and then executing that. And communicating that to people, right? So if this guy was going to be wanting to take on that role of IC, I think he could be communicating that to the others, saying, I am now incident commander of this, or getting on the radio saying whatever his unit designator is, I'm incident commander for this incident, blah blah blah, and then go forth doing what needs to be done. The fire service does this really great. Fire and rescue do a great job of implementing ICS. Police, not so much. There's certain things that police do that utilize the ICS or NIMS, but they don't verbalize it very well whenever someone's going to be in charge. Like if you ever listen to radio traffic from the fire department, anytime a truck goes on scene, you hear someone saying this will be blah 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 command, right? Like they go to a factory fire, on I don't know, on First Street, whatever. They'll get on scene and like, this is engine 1, this will be First Street command, or they're on the interstate, this will be engine 20, be I-65 command, whatever, right? Like whoever gets there, they establish that they're in charge, they're in command. This is where the command post is at. This is who people need to check into. Police don't really do that. I don't think I've ever heard any police anywhere on any of these videos I've done a review on, or outside of a training evolution where that kind of emphasis is in place. You don't see that in the wild, so to speak. Like you don't hear an officer saying, I have command. And I think that's where some improvement could be made when it comes to critical incidents like this for officer-involved shootings. Los Angeles Police Department, I think, does a pretty good job at doing that. They don't obviously they don't verbalize, I'm IC, whatever. But when you watch their videos, you will see that one person takes command and he starts directing everyone else what to do. He directs someone to be lethal, someone to be less lethal, and then designate who's going to be the arrest team. And when they start moving in, that person is calling the shots. That person is telling people where to step, what to do, yada yada yada. So I think LAPD has a good framework for that, and I think they implement that pretty well. There was another, it wasn't LAPD, I don't forgot who it was, but there's another agency that I've seen, they did something kind of similar to that, and I think it's a good model to train for. Having one person as that person that's designated as being in charge, incident commander, whatever, and they direct everyone else what to do. When you start having each individual person wanting to do whatever the hell it is they want to do, that then starts adding confusion. So we see that this one guy abruptly moves forward, and then this causes this guy to then abruptly start moving forward, and you'll hear in a second, you hear this rifleman here calling out, hey, you're crossing me, like as in you're crossing into my field of fire. And he does. He very abruptly steps right there in front of him and crosses the trajectory of this rifle barrel.
Watch out, you're crossing! No! You're crossing me!
I don't have a gun, dude. Come on, man, I don't got a gun. I got you, bro. I'm not on nothing, dog.
Yep.
I'm good, bro.
Hey!
So I understand people's desire to want to, get things done, right? But like I said, you've got to have more control on it. Someone needs to be established as being the incident commander for this, and that incident commander needs to say, This person remains on lethal cover. This person is going to go to less lethal cover. This person is going to go hands-on to put handcuffs on. And here's another thing that some people don't think about. This person is going to operate the radio. Everyone else is going to stay the fuck off the radio except for this one person. This one person is going to do all the talking for everybody. Even if someone's unit number is called, that's not the radio man who's there on the scene. That radio man is going to say, go ahead for them. They're going to be taking care of all radio communications that's going on scene there. That way you don't have your rifleman taking one hand off the rifle to work the radio, and then boom, gunfight starts right then and there. You want your people who are providing the lethal cover having both hands on the weapon to be better. You want the people operating the less lethals to have both hands on it, have their focus on the threat. You don't want them dicking around with the radio. You want the people who are going to be going hands-on to be able to go hands-on with the person and not dick around with the radio. And going back to LAPD, that's one good thing that I've noticed that they do is they'll designate a person for communications, and that takes out all the confusion of who's talking to what, who's doing this, and if I got lethal cover, I'm not taking one hand off the gun to talk on the radio, and then boom, fight starts, and then now I've got radio in one hand, gun in the other, and can't effectively fight at that point. So this is a really good illustration on why there needs to be a better focus on officer-involved shootings, on how to make that approach on the person and or persons and take them into custody immediately following an OIS.
That's him. I'm good, boss.
That's it on the video. So let's go into the third video. Alright, so here's the third video.
Hey guys, I'm not on this. Yeah, I don't have a gun on you, huh? You Megs, you got someone else. Hey. Stop. We're good. Damn it. You got my phone? No. Damn it.
So, looks like that right there is the gun on the ground. Let's see. We'll back this up some more. So, I'm guessing that this guy was rolled forward to here. Yeah, I'd say he was probably rolled over here. That's where the blood pools at. Then he got rolled over to his back.
Hey guys, I'm not on this. Yeah, I don't have a gun on you, huh? You Megs, you got someone else. Hey.
So, sound like this dude probably did have a gun on him, based off what they're yelling about.
Stop. We're good.
Alright, yeah, you can barely make it out because it's all blurry, but that does look like the pistola. Looks like a revolver to me. Yeah, make it out just a little bit better right there. This over here looks like some kind of headwear. Maybe the officer got a rifle hit on this guy's head. Maybe that came flying off his head after he popped him. And it could explain why the guy went down immediately. I'd say probably this was a switch kind of shot, not a timer shot. I'd say he probably flipped his switch. Went with a central nervous system hit on this guy. Probably explains why he went down so quick and is not obviously moving again. Those are the most ideal hits that you want to get. If you can hit that central nervous system, hit that T-box, that's great, because they're not fighting anymore after that, unless on the spine, you hit the lower part and you shut down the lower part of the body. The upper part of the body can still be in the fight, but you hit upper and hit that T-box, yeah, they're done. They're out of the fight. Alright, not much else to say about this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.